Meet the Blacks.
I gotta say, when you hear about independently funded movies, especially African American independently funded movies, when you see them, for me personally, there's always kind of an air about it where somebody couldn't check the ego at the door. I'm a real true movie person, so I kind of look beyond um, the movie. I'm one of those people that watch things over and over and over and over again, and I tell you, it is totally one of those movies that, well, I know personally I'm going to be able to watch it over and over and over again and hear and see just funny things that you never saw the first couple of times. It's one of those movies. I was one of the people who fell on the end of when all the situation came about with the Oscars. I wish I had my stuff together to air my opinion on that, because at the end of the day, the Oscars is about movies. If majority of Hispanics or African Americans or minority of people are moving the market talks and bullshit walks. Money talks and bullshit walks. The Oscars can remain, quote unquote, for some people's opinion, old and Caucasian and out of touch. They can remain that, and they'll disappear like for the state of Missouri, like some of the major phone companies that used to exist, Southwestern Bell and all them that went under that no longer exist. That can be the Oscars' fate and future. Let whoever want to support them. As for the future, you make your own mark. You make your own awards. I'll continue to mention, between Netflix, entrepreneurship, people figuring out that make your mark. Like one of the gentlemen in this movie, Andrew Bachelor. I love the energy that came across in this movie. I could tell the cast had fun. I hope that the cast had fun making this movie. I hope they had as much fun as it looked. I thought it was a very creative way to stretch the funds. I'm not one of them that totally dissect the physical parts of the movie, but I gotta say that Snoop, man, I wanted more of it. I wanted more of Dog After Dark. I could see in that sketch comedy where you was taking it, and I think if you had been given the shot, you could be making a run money with Saturday Night Live. You know, Cloud and I, with Clouded Intelligence, at the beginning of your GGN network, before we cultivated this dream, was right there watching and right there recording and backed off and had to get our ducks right and decide to plant feet on our own foundation. But, man, I love your evolve. Next level. I just feel like for my age bracket, I'm an 80s baby, there's not too many examples of the next level. How you 30-somethings take it to the next level. You know, get out the t-shirts and step it up. I like t-shirts. That was like a metaphor. Snoop produced The Black Purge, and I could see his tentacles all in it. I believe once that's even more cultivated and more independent, more films, more entrepreneur films, more African American films in particular, once we put our own into it, all of that blossoming and all of that unknown sleeping talent comes to the forefront. I've watched Cloud Snoop has watched GGN, the GGN network, from day one. And in recent days, we've had conversations along the topic of, I can see you evolving. I kind of speculated that between the football and the kids, and you got Super Bowl winners whose foundation came from Snoop's program. And I wondered in recent days, had people been coming to try to get them to change. You know, we love you. You're turning out winners, but you got to disconnect from the bitches. You got to disconnect from the weed. You got to get more professional. You know, I wondered if he got made offers to sit with ESPN talk hosts, if that's something that he aspired to do, but it came with that change ticket. And I gotta say, Snoop, all my speculations are just speculations out of admiration and respect. Reverence, true reverence. At the same time, I really don't give a fuck. I'm a movie person. But if that kind of change was taking place, I gotta say, you got yourself or somebody behind you who's really thinking creatively about your moves. And I gotta say, this day and age, there is no one venture. There's multiple ventures. And when it comes to producing and taking a place in that back end of things, man, I don't know if the next Wayans could be the right saying for it. You know, I know your son has aspirations to do directing work, your youngest son, and I see a great future. You know, you always hear about great movies and great scripts not being done because of the funding, and I'm glad that this didn't get compromised. That everybody involved figured out we got enough to do this. Man, there was just an endless list of humor in the Black Purge. And like I said, for me personally, a lot of independently funded black movies, comedy, romantic, you kind of can see where some egos aren't checked at the door, or some editing qualities was just like, come on, man, you couldn't keep that, you know, you can always tell that there's just something off with a lot of black films, or not black films, but independently funded African-American films. I've watched a lot of independently funded films, and you see good quality, you see bad quality, you see budget quality, you see a lot of different qualities, but in my opinion, for African-American films where it's not the ego or something like that that ruins the movie, it's bad editing or poor music choice. That's where the producers and the directors, and as well as the cast and crew, man, just a hilarious collection of a cast.
For Meet the Blacks.
Mike Epps, Lil Duval, Michael Blackson, Gary Owen. Gary Owen, I saw your most recent interviews where you spoke about how they kind of left you out on the picks for Think Like a Man, and I gotta tell you, you're rolling this makes up for that. Like I said, I thought the Black Purge was going to be a get-back film, and in a way it was. You know, I noticed recently that there's been a change in the way that the music's been dropping. You know, you got Puff Daddy talking about work, you got Rihanna talking about work, you got all these songs talking about work, you know, reversing that party Molly Sprite thing that was going on, you know, and now you got niggas being called out on their shit. This movie's fresh, and I think that it should make more money, could have made more money, can make more money, so I'm going to be real careful to not blow this movie up. I do not like it when scenes are given away, or as people say, busters. I don't like that. I'm going to try to tiptoe around it, but, you know, you know, we get called out on our shit. I ain't gonna sit up here in front. I am not no budgeting master. You know, but you strive to get better. My goal is to, you know, be better before 40s, you know, let's just get it together. You expect in a movie, or maybe not you would expect, but man, they pulled it together. The comedians that committed their time to this movie, that, and I'm sure the editors did a great job. But I gotta say, I gotta go straight to who stood out to me in this movie. First of all, Mike Epps. You know, Mike, I've had the same type of speculations in recent days concerning if you're trying to figure out how to switch up your style, if that's got a lot to do with the Richard Pryor film. You know, I know physically, I believe maybe you could pull off Richard Pryor. I know that in the beginning, that type of sketch comedy, costume humor is just something that I'm wondering if it just kind of evolved into to try to tap yourself into that part of Richard Pryor. He was more than just stand up. And I believe that you can absolutely pull it off. I do also believe there's probably a place that it's got to be tapped into that's only been seen a few times and you haven't figured out how to cut that switch on. You are, for it to be early in your, how I feel early, because you've got a wonderful long career ahead of you in movies, in front of the scene, behind the scenes, but to have figured out a little bit how to dip in extreme comedy and in extreme seriousness. I've seen the movie with Forrest Whitaker and some of the other more serious roles. I just thought you did. I thought Mike Epps, for you to have been the star of this movie. Like I'm continuing to mention, you see in a lot of black entrepreneur or African American entrepreneur movies, you see the inability for people to check their ego. I can honestly say, even in interviews, I can feel your humbleness, Mike Epps. I think is what I'm trying to convey. I can feel your humbleness. People forget the same people you meet going up is the same people you meet falling down, and I would speculate to think that's something that you don't forget and think about, because I can see it come out through you and it comes out in your work. This could have easily been just a whole lot of powerful energies not able to come together. But you, as the star leading comedic role in this, Mike Epps, I think did an amazing job. And Bresha Webb, girl, I had to check you out. I have not seen Ride Along 2. I haven't seen American Mom, which is some of the works that you've done, but I gotta say that I am absolutely going to be going in, viewing it, and from here on, following your career from to a certain extent. Like I said, I'm a movie person. I really don't give a fuck, once the movie's off, there's a whole lot of other real life things that go on, and I want to make sure I always mention in my reverence that, these are actors that choose roles. I'm astonished when I find out how many African-American actors aren't actually American. Isn't that the true epiphany of acting, when you're acting to be something that you're not? But Bresha Webb, girl, you did good. I don't know how you feel about, I wouldn't say, it's a similarity in a touch of the styles to Taraji P. Henson at the beginning of her career, but girl, you stand alone. I really wouldn't even say that you're like a Taraji P. Henson. You stand alone. Your energy came straight out through the screen to me. I see a great future in you. I'm gonna have to do a little more. I don't like speaking too much when there's not a lot of works. And I'm someone who's familiar with a lot of people's works from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and there's a lot of younger actors like yourself, Bresha Webb. I was unable to pull the young man's name that played your brother in the movie The Black Purge, but
Meet the Blacks.
I definitely will be looking into some of your works and following up. Your energy through this film was great, and I'd really be curious to know, how did you feel around, if your clips were really around all of the other comedic presences in this movie, or was it kind of you only were shooting with Mike Epps and the young man that played your brother, and Zulay Hinayel, who played your stepmom, if you were able to actually pull from any energies from the other comedic presence, because my speculation would be that it was all your own. It was all your own, girl. I'm just going to follow you. I see a great future. Bresha Webb, I feel like to have been, I for some reason, I'm aware that some people's opinion of Mike Epps is not a favorable one. And I guess because I followed Mike Epps from the beginning, from day one. From day one I followed Mike Epps. So from day one of his stand-up comedies where he said, I'm kind of a slow comedic presence. It's not going to come right away. Y'all want jokes to come right away. It's not going to come right away. And I don't want to be no comedian, but I am recently understanding the different styles and the pressure. I knew a young man that once was trying to be a comic, and it seemed like a very difficult situation. I just recently heard someone say, it's hard to make someone laugh continuously, and I gotta say, I hold a lot of respect for Mike Epps and his style and his presence, and I think that he's at a level in his career for a young lady like Bresha Webb to be able to stand beside him and really, I wouldn't say carry the movies, because all the other comedic presence was just awesome. Tiny from Escape, girl. I ain't gonna say Tiny from T.I. I know you from Escape. All right. Mimicked all of your songs, but Tiny and Mike Tyson's roles, George Lopez were some of the funniest roles. Some of the funniest roles. Tiny, it was amazing. You almost wanted to see more of it, but it is almost also the kind of thing to where, maybe not a whole movie more of it, but girl, I don't know if this has been an aspiration for you to tap into your acting career. I really am someone who's an advocate of, I would say freaked out by the eye surgery, but I understand you love yourself and do what makes you feel good. But man, your role in this, girl, it was unexpected and it was hilarious. Mike Tyson, you have continuously done pop-up roles, and in some instances, in most instances, in my opinion, made the movie. The memorable parts. You've done it again. You've done it again. Like I said, I'm going to tiptoe not to give this movie away because it's still fresh. I think this movie is still going to make a whole lot of money. And it's not, it's not about money. One of the things about it that I'm hoping, and one of my speculations, I'm saying that a lot, but because I want to make it clear, in my opinion, one of my speculations on it is that at some point in time, when this crew, the back end and the front end, realize this is gold. This ain't only gold, but this our shit. This our shit. It's powerful. It's a powerful thing. And I feel, I really wish I had my stuff together to day one, April 1st. Air it out. Tiny, Mike Tyson, George Lopez. When I said in the beginning, this is one of those movies that I'm too cheap to keep going to the theater. I can't wait for it to come out on DVD, and I don't do no bootleg DVDs, I don't judge, but I don't do no bootleg, but I cannot wait to see the spoofs, the back ends. I cannot wait. I feel like this cast and crew had an amazing time making this movie. That being said, I know sober, jacked up, whatever, there's going to be so many different things jumping out of this movie. When you see one of those movies to where I could watch a movie 50 times back to back and continuously see things I didn't see the first time. That's just me personally. Well, this is one of those movies. I cannot wait to just watch it and then watch it again and watch it again. George Lopez, I know for a fact in one of those multiple watches, some of the shit you saying, man. Man, I don't know. I might go pay to go see it again, but I ain't that fucking booty. I don't fuck that out. Shit, I ain't wasting my goddamn money. I wait for it to come out on DVD on y'all ass, but I tell you what, I can't wait. One of the things that I noticed, because I don't like speaking, I like to find out who's involved with the movies, or I found out that I like to find out who's involved with the movies, who makes the back end. Because I discovered that when I do that a lot of the people who work on some of the things that I like work on other work of arts that I liked. And just to find out more about actors or actresses that I feel like whose careers I'm not as up to par with. I like to think of myself as being up to par with a lot of actors, but it is for that 80s, 90s, 2000. I would like to familiarize myself with a lot of younger actors and the new wave of entrepreneurship and people stepping out and figuring out creative ways to do things. I look forward to embarking on this journey when it comes to younger actors. I did notice that whereas other work of arts that I'm able to look into, you can find out more about the cast and crew. George Lopez. So I look forward to rewinding this movie back and forward and seeing all of the missed parts and tripping off on some of the thrown in shots. Some of the thrown in shots. Angela Bachelor. Oh man, young man. So many different talents in this movie. So many different comedic presence in this movie that made it what it is. I would love to see the uncut scenes. I'm sure the edited scenes are just crazy. They probably could not stop laughing, chest hurting, couldn't get through it at all, trying to cut out and determine what stays and what goes. Andrew Bachelor is a entrepreneur who has set his own foundation. I'd like to know to what extent that energy of, my nigga, you can do it too. We can do this. You know, Andrew Bachelor started his own production company known for King Bach. I'd like to try to in the future familiarize myself with some of the newer, younger actors. Andrew Bachelor, for the role you had in this, it wasn't that big, but man, it carried weight. The weight that you carry off screen personally, being an entrepreneur on your own making of your own grounding, much respect. The energy you brought in this film was equally hilarious. I could tell that, to me, it was clear that you wanted to make sure your energy and presence came across the screen. Another little hilarious quick foundation of this film, Andrew Bachelor. He had a quick role in this, but the presence and the energy that came across was just as good and just as funny. Young man that I look forward to seeing continued future works in. For the off-screen respect, I aspire to be like you. This young man has set his own foundation. He made his own mark. I wonder if any speeches was given by Andrew Bachelor to the cast and crew of The Black Purge when times may have gotten a little rough with his funding. Or was he just someone that a cast and crew member chose in good standing? You know, did he just come in and audition for this part? Or was he someone who had a voice saying, hey, you can create your own foundation. Let's go and do this. Let's fund this. You can fund this. Another great comedic presence that added a layer to this film, Andrew Bachelor. This part was quick, but it was heavy. It was funny. I look forward to future comedic works and whatever other type of works, whether it be serious, off screen. Gotta give much respect to Andrew Bachelor. I aspire to be similar to Andrew Bachelor in that created his own foundation, made his mark, and now is a presence to be known. I could tell in the parts that Andrew Bachelor had, wanted to make sure that the bottom line is that if you speculated that this was just going to be a get back reversal film, African Americans or minorities, Hispanics reversing it and going after the high end, it's really not about all that. It's really not about all that. Finesse is a word I like to use when I feel that cast and crew members put their time in the way something's going to be conveyed. Like the movie Scary Movies, the last Scary Movies. We heard a lot about how the last Scary Movies was ripped from the Wayans brothers. And the last Scary Movies failed because they couldn't convey that essence that them boys had when they created that movie. However everything went down, I'm not about to sit up here and act like I know. Money talks, bullshit walks. And as long as they got paid, you know, as long as the men got paid for their works, you know, they know the ins and outs. But they could not carry the essence of Scary Movie. And I can sense the essence in The Black Purge. I can see where it's going to continue. I hope that the essence is able to remain. That the egos stay in check. And if the egos stayed in check because people were willing to maybe take less from this project than what they would look at from more established companies. And that's what made it come across that example can be taken for future African American or Hispanic or minority or let's just say independently funded filming or independently funded anything. Egos got to be checked. And a crawl before you walk energy has to be met. Go see the blackbirds.
Meet
Not
the
just
blacks.
because if you black or just because if you Mexican. Just go see the blackbirds. Just have a good laugh. Go see that, we all are kind of thinking about the same things more than you know. Go see that some of the things that's being said in the political world and all that crap, they're underestimating the real way everybody's really thinking about things and laughing about things. And at the end of the day, hopefully, not giving a shit, not caring so much about the little things.
Go see Meet the Blacks.